Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com, here with a match with the Weapons Trainer equipment deck. Upgrade with the Sram, senior, whatever his name is. This is a weird hand. I typically like to keep one landers. I think we're going to YOLO this, because we have the Toolcraft Exemplar with a Bone Saw, which is extremely good. Double Bone Saw, actually. So it's going to be able to get in there for quite a bit of damage, and that alone could take over the game. So typically, one-landers, I'd like to see like another Thraben Inspector or something, but this is fine. If we hit into another land, this is just bonkers. It's going to put a Stonehaven Outfitter. That's going to be insane. Or a Scrapheap Scrounger. I probably will go Scrapheap at that point. So there's still a lot of decks that cannot take the aggro of the Toolcraft Exemplar. Shock is a nice inclusion for... Uh-oh. Don't like to see green-white, because either green-white tokens or green-white humans is going to be tough. We did not hit our land, so I'll just use the Bone Saw. And we attack in for 4. Still not a bad turn. You want to keep the Bone Saw in your hand for the Bushwhacker. So, unfortunately, if our opponent even puts like a Sylvan Advocate out, we could be in trouble. But that's kind of the risk of keeping the one-landers. Is if I do not draw one within a few turns, then, yeah, it's just game. But I typically like to be risky. Mulliganing is... Ooh. That just puts in hand. Ruins of the... Okay, that's... I haven't seen that card forever. So some sort of Eldrazi build? Green-white Eldrazi? Is what I'm assuming? Because if waste... I don't think you play Ruin without wastes. So what did our opponent go grab? It didn't... Oh, Forest. Okay. So we do get it in for some more damage here. And at least we get an Inspector. Opponent's down to a 12. See if like a Nissa comes out here. It's a Mattery Shaper. That card's actually not that great because now we're going to run the Bone Saw, and now it gets first strike. So do we want to put the Bone Saw on the Inspector? He'll make the trade with the Inspector. I think that we actually do just... Yeah, then we'll get in for some damage. I think that's better. So we have first strike with the Exemplar. Yeah, I thought that's where it's going to go. But we do want to push through damage. And a Johnny Unyielding, so it doesn't ramp our opponent back up. We still miss the land drop, though. The Reckless Bushwhacker is now really bad. But look how much the Toolcraft Exemplar has done by itself. And this should be a pretty slow, clunky... There's an Oath of Nissa. It's going to take at least a mana this turn. So... Let's see what gets revealed. A Gideon. Gideon's incredibly good. And there's another Mattery Shaper. Womp womp. We did not hit our land again. I'm going to keep that Bone Saw in. Might as well equip. And does get a wastes. Ramping up. So Johnny, what does a Johnny even do? Johnny's actually powerful here. It just exiles a Toolcraft Exemplar. Yeah, that will hurt. That's assuming a 6. Our opponent puts out another land. So, if that's the case, I'd love to draw a red source. Then I would just Reckless Bushwhacker, kill off a John. Oath of Nissa. I'm surprised. That, to me, is very risky. If our opponent goes Gideon, we attack into him. I mean, that's fine, though. I mean, that's perfectly acceptable. Does find a Canopy Vista. Possibly our opponent did not have a land. And that could have been the issue with the Johnny. But, I mean, this is pretty late. And haven't drawn... I mean, that's pretty unlucky not to hit on. Even with 20 cards, statistically, it should have been probable that we... Alright, so... we will finally get a land. I think Stonehaven is better here than the Scrapheap Scrounger. Wrong source, though. Actually, I think Scrapheap might be better. Because this exiles, right? Ugh. We'll go Stonehaven. At least we get the knight out of the way. But Gideon just keeps pumping out tokens. Gideon is still strong. And here comes a Johnny. See how greedy our opponent wants to be? Because the correct play is just to exile the Stonehaven Outfitter. Really? I disagree with the Toolcraft Exemplar. And in tune with Aether, it's just going to be another land. But we do have to take care of that Gideon. So let's hope for a red source because a Johnny just dies if that's the case. And that's worthwhile. Another Reckless Bushwhacker. That's awkward, actually. Don't think we can give him another turn. If I attack and at least get rid of a knight ally. If I crack a clue, what does that do? Nothing. I think we just go Scrapheap. Very awkward. Triple Reckless Bushwhackers and no red source. Womp womp. Yeah, it's just going to be Scrapheap. Needed that other land so long ago. We would have pushed through for sure. Or just a red source there would have been fine. I still think the right play now with the Johnnies is kill a Johnny and kill the Scrapheap Scrounger. Yeah, I agree with that play. Especially if our opponent has another Johnny in hand. Pretty powerful card, actually, when you can protect a Johnny. It's going to be a Nissa. And just make a 5/5. So, green-white Planeswalkers, another Matter Reshaper. Jeez. Opponent can draw the Matter Reshapers better than we can draw mountains. Inventor's Goggle is quite weak. This just gives +1/+1. Still think it's worthwhile. Just crack the clue here and hope to draw a land. Yeah, that's game. Alright, there's no way we're coming back. Miss land, one land in tons and tons of draws. I mean, we are a very low land count, and it was greedy for me to keep that. I'll admit that. Thalia is actually good here with all those. Selfless Spirit is also pretty decent. Just as a flyer, it goes over Gideon tokens. Declaration of Stone and Shock are unnecessary. So I think we're gonna take out. No, all of these are really good. Just going to take out some Bushwhackers for Thalias. Not going to bring in... Yeah, just keep it as is. There's not a whole lot. Declaration of Stone does work against some Matter Reshapers, but it still gives him a clue. Still takes a turn. I'd rather just push through it. Alright, let's see if we can get a good hand this time. Yeah, this is much better. No artifact or... So, we do want Toolcraft Exemplar out with the hub. Opponent does go to 5. So we'll go Aether Hub. and Toolcraft Exemplar. And hopefully this means that we can draw into a artifact next turn. The best case scenario would be a bone. Another... Well, we can draw those. Let's see here. I still think it's to be... use my white source. But no artifact, unfortunately. So now we could be in the same kind of predicament by not having an artifact here. See what our opponent can do for 2 lands. Like a Sylvan Advocate just completely blanks me if it's a Sylvan Advocate. Nothing. Okay, so we're going to get in for some damage. Hopefully. There's a Plains. I still think that... I think a Needle Spires is actually better here. But man, has this hand been slow. They're like impeccable, a spatial contortion. Alright, that happens. So I need a bone. Inspector's great here. Yep, Inspector's great. We will Thraben Inspector, which creates a clue. And then we'll Bushwhack it. See if he's got another spatial contortion in hand. Has all the answers. And the waste on time. Yuck. We get in for 4, though. Which is good. And we do have a Stonehaven Outfitter and a Reckless Bushwhacker next turn, or crack a clue. It all depends on what happens. Or Gideon would just be backbreaking if our opponent had Gideon. But look at this nonsense. I guess the Moldify was good there. Don't be a Gideon. Don't be Mattery Shaper either, though. Good night. Okay, that's perfectly okay. Just that investigates and allows for mana. So we have a nice big play here for a ton of damage. With a Captain's Claw. What is better? Yeah, I actually think Captain's Claw is better here than Bushwhacking. So... 5 damage, and a creature out, and an equipment. And our opponent's just going to crack a clue. So 4 cards in hand. Can it be Gideon here? Oh, geez, a Fumigate. Ay, ay, ay. That hurts. So here we could go Inventor's Apprentice, Bushwhacker, and... Yeah, that's a pretty good play. We don't have energy for that, though. Yeah, that sucks. Stonehaven Outfitter and... Apprentice? But then we'd have to draw into something... Apprentice and Equip? And sack a clue? Yeah, I think that's actually better. So, we're going to sack a clue. Apprentice and Equip. I think that's the best play. Johnny'd be pretty rough here. Forest comes into play tapped. Why do you put... Oh, in hand. You can put in hand so it can come into play untapped. I guess that's... But it uses the land drop. See, another Spatial Contortion ends up being in my opponent's hand. Sram is pretty weak at this point. It's just going to be a Stonehaven Outfitter. And we'll bushwhack it. Here comes Spatial Contortion number 7. Okay, so Stasis Snare on the Apprentice. That was a 1-drop, though, that the Stasis Snare had to use against. And he still takes 5, so down to a 6. And has 2 cards in hand. 2 unknown cards. It's a 1 with Aether Hub. Our opponent got way flooded. Cool deck, though. This is a pretty neat little... Because it adds 2 to mana, so you can enchant it and then sack the clue immediately. Gideon's very weak here. I don't think Gideon stops anything. So, Weapons Trainer was the perfect draw. Unfortunately, it doesn't give us the... Yeah, it's still better. So, Weapons Trainer. And then equip... to and I believe that's game. So that one paid off. Alright. Do I need to bring in Selfless Spirits for Fumigates? I'm going to do so. Reckless Bushwhackers did seem good. Is Sram... I'm going to go down to just a 1 of on this Sram. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Hero Inventor's Goggles. The Captain's Claws seem to do very well. And Bushwhackers were pretty decent as a 2 of. Heart of Kiran with Stasis Snare. I'm going to take it out as well. I mean, well, it's a Gideon killer quite easily. But I'd have to take out something... I don't think there's any room to take anything else out, unless we just go... Yeah, I think Heart of Kiran is the right play to take out. You might disagree with that, but with Stasis Snares running around, I think that it's a little bit risky. Ugh, another one of these hands. Unfortunately, I think that we have to keep this. Okay, that works. Alright, this is a pretty good hand. Now, we have to mold a 5, no land, no land. Our opponent has kind of a slow start with Evolving Wilds, but Spatial Contortions are extremely good. We'll get an Inspector, and then the Inspector allows for a Captain's Claw on turn 2. Or, not Inspector, Exemplar. And we have all of the mana sources we need. Hopefully there's no waste that comes out on turn 2, because this will allow us to... Okay, it's an Oath of Nissa, so either way, we're getting in for some damage. I actually would like to see one more land, because then it allows us to Thalia, which is just insanely good against this deck. And there it is. So we'll go ahead and put out the Captain's Claw. And attacking for 3. Putting us down to a 17. A lot of non-basic lands in this deck. There's one. So, I'm assuming the best play is still to just attacking with the Exemplar, because I think a Stasis Snare is in our opponent's hand. Smartly lets it go through. But Thalia hits. Thalia is going to be huge. Because even if a waste comes into play now, it's coming into play tapped. Bushwhacker would probably be the best play, or best draw. Selfless Spirit would be really good to draw into too, because it just protects it. And there's the scoop. Did the Thanissa miss there? So we take out green-white tokens. I think this is a very good matchup for us. Extremely good. Especially how this one's built. I didn't see a lot of like Sylvan advocates. So Thalia just wrecked it. I'm sure he's trying to go for like a Gideon play here, but it comes into play tapped, so that ruins the turn, and then we swing in for Weapons Trainer comes out next turn. Equips to the Toolcraft Exemplar, or actually Thalia at this point. No, Toolcraft Exemplar still. Swings in for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage. And, it's not going to even let us see what we draw into. Hope you enjoyed this match, though. We'll try to do some streaming with this particular deck, and whatever, I need to post a whole video about how I work my streams. A lot of people, still the vast majority of emails that I get, Facebook messages, even comments on YouTube are, hey, can you check out my deck list? Can you play my deck? That is the opportunity. Is if you want me to, if you want to buy my time, you can do so in my stream. So I'll have instructions when I do the stream on how to do that. But until then, we'll probably just play some Weapons Trainer. I like this deck a lot. I think it's extremely explosive, and it just might be the type of deck that just slips through under the radar and is very good against Fumigates, which are starting to see a lot more play. Very good against Radiant Flames, which the Selfless Spirits come in just completely. I think with the lack of Liliana's running around, I think this deck is pretty good. The one problem is the Walking Ballista is everywhere. And Walking Ballista can, on turn 4, kill 2 of my creatures at the cost of just 1 of them. So keep that in mind. It is something you do have to race. But if people are trying to play a deck that beats the Walking Ballista deck and are playing a lot of the Grasp of Darkness, UB control, this is an insanely powerful deck, because it's not a great strategy for an opponent to try to 1-for-1 us. They're going to have to, and then Captain's Claws and Scrapheap Scrounger just keep coming back and just keep pounding in for the damage. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this match. This has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.